you want to spend time every day intentionally with your board. And I do it in a way that I focus in on images that are on my board. I take them all in and imagine and remember when I created the board, the feeling that I wanted. And maybe you want to even make up a story, of you being there.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Inspiroqa podcast. Today's episode is so special because it's our first episode that we are recording online. And I'm really excited for today's interview because our special guest is vision board expert, the founder of a company, Dare to Declare, and she have helped many clients from all over the world to create a vision board that actually help them to manifest their desired life. So today we're going to be talking about what is vision boards, how to create them so you can manifest your desired life, how long does it take to manifest those pictures that you put there, and so on. We're going to talk also about a motivation experience. So there is a bunch of questions that I really would like to ask her and give you the best answers. Let me welcome Debbie Sluys. Debbie, welcome to the Inspiroqa podcast. Thanks for having you here. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. You're my first call today, so this is really exciting.
Yay! It's funny because right now I have like 9 p.m. and I'm like literally here on the planet. You are on the other side, which you have 9 a.m. right now. It's so funny how, thanks to this internet, social medias, we can reconnect. So I'm really excited for our interview today.
Me too.
And
And I find that so interesting that we're so far apart, and yet through the screen, I can feel your good energy. Isn't that amazing?
yeah, thank you so much. I know what is even funny. This is my virtual background because I have just white background in the office. And it's so funny that I can play with that. And I can also feel your energy is really beautiful because I'm really excited for our connection. I hope in the future we can also meet like face to face and talk about everything and more because you have really beautiful mission and purpose and vision. You help people to create the vision boards. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, that's my expertise is vision boards. And even people that are very influential in personal development, they're surprised. They said, "You made a whole business out of vision boards?" And yes, I have.
So, can you please tell us how did it all started? What's the story
Sure.
behind Dare to Declare?
Yeah, and I love my name, Dare to Declare. It's a bit provocative, like daring,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so powerful to declare. And so I spent 30 years in childcare. And so it was licensed, I'm Canadian, and it was a licensed childcare. So the government would regulate it. By the time I left after the 30 years, we had grown it to 4 locations.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a team of about 75, predominantly women. And we served about 450 children from infant up to after school, before and after school programs. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And I still do. I even still volunteer at my church with little children. And I do love the idea of play. And I'm always fascinated in how children's brains work and how quickly they learn and how they're such, they're open to possibilities, to hypothesize,
Mm-hmm.
to experiment, to take risks, all the things that we as adults we temper that down as we become adults. So I'm saying all of that to also lead into what I'm doing now. And I felt this inner nudge of that was meant for something bigger. And our Canadian government had decided that they were looking around the world for new ways of being with children. And we discovered places like Italy, Australia,
Mm-hmm.
where it was much more play-based versus more curriculum based. And so my childcare was asked to be a pilot for that. And so when we switched the way that we were with children and really focus on the child themselves versus it being teacher led, that it was child led, it radically changed the culture of our organization. And it was so radical that people asked me to share my story. And my story turned into public speaking. My public speaking turned into workshops. And I really got excited and grew my confidence in that as well. And realizing, wow, I can make a big difference But I also recognize that my educators, many of them, like my employees, were lost, like in that they didn't know their purpose. They had sort of defaulted into childcare because
Mm-hmm.
people are like, oh, you don't know what to do with your life? Probably take care of children. Well, that's a terrible way to choose a career, especially one that can be very stressful. So I started doing my own personal development, and started to explore, things that maybe had kept me small, like in stories I had made up. And for example, I'm adopted. So as a little baby, I was adopted into my family, and I had never
Oh.
really thought about how my adoption had impacted my belief system and my
Mm-hmm.
choices. And also, I was abused as a little girl, sexually abused by a trusted adult in my family. And so all of those, like those things were definitely playing in the background and informing my actions and therefore informing my results. And so as I started to uncover that work, I thought, this is so important. And so I started to research online. I found, I mentioned him a lot. He's my mentor, Jack Canfield. He co-wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. Yeah. And so he wrote the success principles. And so as I started to research his work, I discovered vision boards. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I discovered vision boards. And I thought, this is such a hope-filled tool and activity. But when I really started to delve into it, I realized that it's tied into neuroscience, of course. And so all the what we know about play around how children learn best through play, well, so do adults. And so I created a studio with my husband in his warehouse. My husband owned a building supply company. So we had a beautiful playroom, so to speak, for specifically for vision boards. And I opened my doors, but I did my vision boards and my full-time career together for two
Yeah.
years. And then I decided to jump in and do it full time.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing your story. To be honest, I'm so happy that you overcame those traumas from your childhood. I'm
Thank you.
so glad that you shared your personal story. Like, not so many people can say, like, honestly, I was adopted into the family. I was abused because I met many people. One of my ex-girlfriend, she's already passed away. She was mentally, sexually abused. And when I heard her story, I was like, wow, it was not so many people can handle this kind of mental and physical pressure from guys. And wow. And I'm happy that you found your purpose, your passion, thanks to Jack Canfield. It's actually my dream to meet him in person. I remember when I saw the movie called The Secret, that actually opened my mind. I was like, what is that? What is The Secret? Who is Jack Canfield? And suddenly, I don't know why I have goosebumps right now. I fell in love with him. Like, I was watching his videos on YouTube, listening to his interviews whatsoever that I got from my friends as well, because he was also in Slovakia, like in 2000 something as a speaker. There was a big event and somebody gave me the DVD. So I watched this lecture and it was so cool. His energy is so excited. And before we managed to have this interview, you also said in my video that you actually have been interviewed by him. And I was like, oh, wow. Wow, if this is possible, that's my dream, and I should make like vision board to put some stuff that I want to do. So my question is, how did your first vision board look like? What kind of pictures you put there, or how did you make it? And the second question is, has it been all manifested?
Yes, 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 yes. So my first vision board, it had probably more words on it than images. As I've refined my process,
Mhm.
what you want to put on your vision board is what will make you feel in your body the amazing feeling. If we could play this back and you talking about Jack Canfield, your whole face lit up. Like I'm sure the viewer or listener doesn't even need to see you. They could feel the energy as you were speaking about vision, being with him, and they're like, yeah, like I believe you that you're going to meet him. I'm sure the listener does as well
I
because
see.
your energy was so tangible. So that's the key, is that you want to have images that raise your vibration, so to speak, so that
Mhm.
you can feel it in your body as though it already is. So my first vision boards were more about things versus about me, my who I am as in terms of my self-image. So I've really been refining it over the last 6 years, my whole process with my clients as well. And then to answer your question, yes. So when I opened my doors in 2018, I thought I'm going to go like you. I'm going to go meet Jack, but I didn't have a lot of money in childcare. Traditionally, it's a low paid
Hmm.
position, even though I was a director. I make half of what a school principal makes. And I had invested a lot of money to set up my business, but I thought I'm going to fly to Boston. So I'm in Canada, as I said. So it was like a short flight, but I'm going to fly to Boston and I'm going to go hear Jack Canfield. So I bought the cheap seats, like it cost me $100. I shared a room with my girlfriend. Like we did it on a low budget, right?
Yeah.
But I had the work and I took everything in that day. Like I was just like mesmerized. And like you, I fangirl over him. My friends, my colleagues kind of make fun of me because and my husband's like, should I be worried? I'm like, no, no. I just adore him. But what I noticed was, I don't think I've ever said this before in an interview. When I watched him in person, I was careful to watch what he was like with his employees. So the people that were around him helping him. I watched
Hmm.
as he went off the stage and just was mingling with his people. And he's the same gentleman that you experience on stage, off stage. And he stayed till 7 o'clock that night to make sure every person that bought a book got it signed and got a picture with him. I wish I do you want me to just quickly show you?
Yeah, for sure you can.
Yeah, so I have, let's see, not that original day. This is another day, but here you can see me with him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Beautiful
This
picture.
is from 2 years ago, but so I've met him multiple times. But that day I stood beside him and then I wrote in my book, my workbook, because you had to write down an affirmation. And I said, I will do a big training with Jack Canfield. Now I had paid $100. I was in the back. I was, close my book. So that was in 2018. Then in 2021, during the pandemic, I flew to California in his home in Santa Barbara for him to interview me about my academy, which so I up leveled from simply teaching the vision boards myself. Now I have an academy where I train trainers.
Wow.
So I have people, it's a global company. I have over 50 people now in the last 4 years who are now using my proven process in their business. And they're from 5 different countries: the UK, Ireland, South Africa, United States, all over the world. Not Bali. We're going to talk about that. But so and I remember being at the interview and I brought my little book and I thought, oh, should I show him? Should I tell him? He loved it. I said, Jack, you're not going to believe this. Look, this is what I wrote in 2018, and here I am with you today. Like I think this qualifies as a big training, a big opportunity. And then um 2 years ago, so that would be 2023, I went to his home, actually his business partner, Patty Aubrey in Nashville, and I spent a whole week with him.
Hmm.
And again, life changing. So does it work? 100%. And that's what I get to say. Like, I drive a little Porsche. I worked for a not-for-profit. Like, the things have manifested in my life with my husband and I, and with like, I take vacations. Like, anybody watches my social media, like, I'm like, look, this is my life before, this is my life after. So I get to live what I teach.
For sure. That's exactly what I really appreciate what you said. Like, I have to live what I teach. Because some people talking about the coaching, especially because you are also a coach and mentor, they say something, but on the other hand, they don't live that. Like, for example, you can see somebody professionally in the stage, like talking about love, talking about business, and you feel like, oh, his energy is great. But in the backstage, he really doesn't value his people working for him. He or she doesn't realize that because of those people, it wouldn't be happen. I remember, like, I started the same way as you did. Like in 2016 or 17, there is a guy, his name is Andy Vinson. He's also very famous motivational speaker in Slovakia and Czech Republic. He's from my country. And I was like, I don't have money. I'm still at university, but I want to be part of the team. So I just texted them. It was my visualization and manifestation like, no matter what, they're gonna approve me. I'm gonna be working with them for the event. So I did. And then one day in 2017, he had a like big weekend. I was a big seminar for 2 days, if I'm not wrong, about finances, money, right? And then he was selling the course for NLP, which cost is like $4,000. And I was like, whoa, but something was telling me just, buy it. And those money that I used were the money that my parents gave me. They were saving those money for like more than 10 years. They almost killed me for that. But because of that investment, it was the biggest shift in my life. So I do
Mm.
believe the manifestation and vision boards look like, even though I've done a couple of them, but that was actually in 2017, 16, 17, I was studying the vision board and I made a vision board because my girlfriend was also coach at the time. And I put like the pictures, I put my emotions, but trust me, whether you trust me or not, nothing of that even worked. I don't know if I was the only one, but do you have some cases when people made some vision boards and none of them worked, even though they followed your guides, followed what you taught them to do?
I haven't heard that, but I'm sure that does happen. What the vision board, I've cherry picked part of the whole manifestation process. The vision board is not the only piece of manifestation.
Hmm.
So, like John Assaraf, he tells a story about he had created a vision board. Then 25 years later, he and his son are unpacking, and his son said to him, "Dad, how come our house is on this board that they just moved to?"
Yep.
So it does, but that was 25 years, okay? Like, who's got 25 years to wait? Not me. Like, let's get going, right? So it does work. It will eventually work, and which is why I tell people don't throw out your vision board because it's like fine wine. It will continue to mature.
Hmm.
So, and I'm a Christian, so I just speak in these terms like we don't know God's time, right?
Yep.
So, and there is a gestation period. So, like a human baby is 9 months, an elephant, I forget how long, but it's much longer, right? Like it's like there's different gestation periods for birth of your of your goal, of your vision. And then so I want to bring up about goals. So vision is what you cannot just simply do yourself. It's big. One of the mistakes might have been as well is that it's too big. So I actually have people that will say to me, "Oh, I want to be a billionaire." I mean, it sounds good. And I say, "Well, are you a millionaire?" No. And so I said, "Well, let's like millionaires still feel stretchy. Like you don't know how that is going to happen yet. Like some people do, but and $1 million isn't as much money as it used to be. But for some people, that feels really stretchy. But I feel sometimes people put things on their board that are so far in advance that it almost becomes a saboteur. It
Yep.
blocks them because they've put it so far to reach that there's not even any action. They get immobilized because it feels
Mhm.
way too overwhelming. So it's always about that connection to your vision, that it makes you feel happy, excited, a little bit scared because it's like butterflies,
Yep.
but not where it's like, the billionaire kind of thing. The other thing is, so that would be the first mistake, I suppose, is if you made it so out of reach that you can't feel it anymore, that
Hmm.
you've taken the feeling out. And the second is that you want to have goals. So the whole part of manifestation, you have to get action to get traction. Like the law of attraction has the word action embedded in it. So you manifested being part of that gentleman's talk. You said, I want to do it. But then you took action. Either you called the people, you got on the list to
I
volunteer,
see.
you have to take inspired action or obvious action. Obvious action has to do more with societal norms. Like if you want to become a doctor, you can't just decide one day, I'm going to be a doctor and people, come to your office. Like you got to go to med school. That's obvious action. Inspired action is I feel it within me that I want to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you're going to go talk to people and find out what's the best school. And maybe you're going to talk to someone and they're going to say, you know what? I can get you in to this school, or I can give you my medicine, my medical books. Like you start to create the law of attraction around that obvious action. But action is a key component to manifestation. I created a planner,
Mm-hmm.
and my planner connects to, this is my personal planner, connects to my vision board. So
Mm-hmm.
on the vision board, I encourage my clients to have 7 areas. So like they are leisure, which would be travel, which I want to come to Bali, by the way, and you can come to Canada. We'll
That's
switch.
that's my goal to go to Canada, you know?
Oh, awesome. Well, come and I'll tour you around.
Okay.
Education is another area. Like, what do you want to learn about? Not necessarily formal education, but more like music or a new
Mm-hmm.
language, or spiritual. What's your spiritual vision? What's your professional vision? So work, but it could be volunteering as well. Financial. What is your financial vision in terms more about feeling like that sense of freedom? Personal, and that can be your mental health, your physical health, and then lastly is relationships to do with your partner. But this one has to do with goals. So what I've done is I've chunked it down into 3 areas: work, wellness, and wholehearted. So for the month, so every month you create another vision board, but this is a goal board.
Mm-hmm.
So these represent your goals. So this is going to give you that direct path, focus for what's in front of you. And then as you step in and accomplish those goals, you're going to look behind you and go, wow, look at this life I've manifested, this vision I've manifested. But the other piece is, so the last mistake is sometimes things arrive that are bigger and better. And maybe you imagined on your board that you're going to manifest this vision, but when you actually look at your life through the lens of gratitude, you realize, wow, I put this on and I thought it was going to arrive in this kind of package, or I was going to get this job. But the way that I feel about my life right now, it's even better.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be how I would respond to that. What do you get from that?
Well, I was just thinking about my life personally, like when I did those vision boards, I actually wanted to something because somebody, I knew that somebody does that time the vision boards, they made it, and it happened literally within 1 month or even 1 year, just like this. Everything they put. So I was like, okay, if they can do it, let me do it. Just like visualize big, like this is my future life, this is my partner, this is my relationship. At that time, my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, so ex-girlfriend right now, she told me like you have to put everything all together. You have to put something like this is your intention, this is your motivation, this is your desires, and let them play together. Unless you make it happen and play it together, it's not gonna work. I was like, okay. I put my pictures of myself. I remember I opened a Canva and I found like a couch. I put myself, my pictures I was sitting, and I put like Jimmy Fallon, the most famous host in USA. I was like, I'm sitting next to him and he does interview with me. Or I interview him. I don't know. But nothing worked, but I just like let it be. It's somewhere in Canva right now. Then I did the other one because I was started studying some courses from Mind Valley. I was like, you have to do this, you have to do that, put your goals as high as possible. But the story goes on, and some of those stuff manifested, but literally in the other way, like you said, there is the third option. Like it's coming from the gut. So what I realized right now, I have some goals, like talking about this Inspiroqa, right? I wanna improve like millions of people around the world. I want people to get those information they need, give them the answers because Inspiroqa is about the answers to the about is about the answers to those questions. I ask people like you so they can be happy in their lives, but nothing was working. And 2 years ago, because I wrote two books, but in my mother's language, right? I did crowdfunding. I remember I put all the papers like I made like $40,000 from the crowdfunding. I made this. It's easily. Nothing happened. But then what I realized, I asked God. I really did some deep meditation. I was like, what am I supposed to do right now? Why it didn't work? Just tell me why. Suddenly, I received information within one day, within 24 hours, like I saw Inspiroqa. I was like, what is Inspiroqa? I saw the logo, I saw the name, and that's why I have Inspiroqa. This is my second year. I was like, just keep doing. There will be one day it's gonna work because social medias these days, they're like, yeah, you post videos has 10,000 views or even 1 million views. The other one has only 100 views. I was like, I don't want to play these games. I just do believe there somehow we're gonna reconnect all over the world and help each other because this is my biggest goal and this is also your biggest goal and you are already on this path like you work on yourself, you were having like two jobs like I do right now, like I have my stable clients beside them working on Sparrow. It's 9:30 p.m. and some people could even say like, oh man, are you crazy, like you have your job like that costs you already 8 hours and then you have an interview. I was like, yeah, because this idea, this Inspiroqa, is my passion. It's what I was supposed to do in this life. And I keep working on it. And I'm really happy that there are people like you who didn't just quit the project, just like lost everything, but you were building something and beside that you had your stable income. And this is beautiful. We have Dare to Declare. And you help people not just creating vision boards, but you also do like coaching and mentoring for them, like about the business and wow, what is the most successful, let's say, story of some clients who ask you to help them to build their vision boards or ask you to help them to have a better mindset, have like a better life. Can you share us some of the stories?
Yeah, so actually the two that come to mind, I don't know why I feel this is so dramatic, but um well people have gotten married. So that's been one thing where one of my clients she put it on her board, like she didn't have a boyfriend. And she
Hmm.
put a picture of, I actually put this one in my workshop so people can see this story because it's hard to believe when you see the picture that she put on her vision board and then you see her engagement picture that happened a year later. Because when she put the picture on her board, I said to everybody at the workshop, it was in person, and I said, all right, everyone, we're all invited to her wedding. And a year later, it was August. In the next August, I had an invitation on my fridge with the picture. And I said, Melissa, I said, your engagement picture looks almost exactly like the picture you put on your vision board. She's like, see, this is the thing. Sometimes people don't even realize it. And I said, go back and look. And I said, can you send me the picture? We put them side by side and they're almost exactly the same.
Damn.
So, and she just messaged me. I put it on my stories about 2 weeks ago, that they've been trying to have a baby. And she said that she put her and her mom, she hadn't done a vision board since 2018 or 19, which is another thing. You want to do one every year. And she said, I bought, here, I'll tell you too, I have a magazine. So she bought my magazine, my vision board magazine, and she did it with her mom. And they did it together in September. And she's expecting. She says it's a miracle baby. Yeah.
Yay.
And so these things, but then also one of my more recent clients, she hired me to do a vision board in the United States for her retreat. So people hire me now as the expert to go into their retreat. They offer, maybe they do some speaking, they've got a yoga, and then they do have me come and do the vision board. And so because I take over the day for her, she could do her own vision board. So
Hmm.
she did her own vision board, and on it, there's a picture in my magazine of a lady sitting in, I don't have it handy real quick, but sitting in a camper. So the picture's from the inside, and then you see her sitting in the doorway, and she has like her laptop on her lap, and she's working from everywhere, right?
Yeah.
That was a picture she had on her vision board. Well, in August, this is just like 8 months ago, she said to her husband, you know, we talked about selling our house. He says, well, go list it. She had a lady reach out to her and she put it on Facebook. She didn't even call a realtor. She did it on Facebook. And they, by October, they had sold their home for a profit and they had bought a fifth wheeler and they are now I meet with her. She's part of my mastermind now too and became one of my clients. She's now doing this. She's like, I believe I'm sold
Mm.
because she put that on her board and not even been a year. That was last June. And now she's traveling the United States with her husband. He works for a company where he needed to travel, so then now they're going wherever he needs to be
I
for
see.
his work. She's a coach. She helps people write their own book, so she can do it as long as she's got Wi-Fi. I talked to her last week, and they parked it in the middle of a lavender farm. I was like, imagine waking up and smelling the lavender. I'm so, yeah, just amazing when you get clear and focused and like her life has so dramatically changed and she's living her vision and her dream.
So basically, what I understand with vision boards, you gotta have really connection. It cannot come from your ego. Like that's what I understand from previous vision boards that I tried to make. These days, I have to say I don't have any vision boards, but I'm thinking about it. But even though I didn't create any vision boards, I have like we already have a house here in Bali, right? Is it like when you, for example, usually people, what I see, they put their vision boards either into their office if they work from home, or maybe in their bedroom or usually living room, kitchen room. When you see it every day, do you like have to stand up in front of the vision board and look at every side, or just like, okay, I see it, let it be? You know what I'm saying? Like, because in my case, I was thinking and visualizing, like, I guess really too much, trying to change something within my brain so it's gonna happen, but actually never happen.
Well, it goes back to the construction of it. So you mentioned something about Canva. So I am not a proponent of digital vision boards
Hmm.
because you lose something along the way. And you talked about ego, and the ego can take over
Yep.
in a very subtle way where you want the picture to look perfect. You want to manipulate the picture. You worry, the ego will worry more about aesthetics than about the composition, like the feeling of it. So that's why I created my own magazine. I'll give you a quick example. I worked with a gentleman and he said on his board, he just like, I just want a excuse me, big ass house, right? And I said, okay. And he's like, that'll show my dad. And so red flag, right? And so I said, okay, so like let's look at the energy that's behind that. I
Hmm.
said, so, trying to show somebody something to prove something that like we want to have it come from the purest sense of your value. Let's get clear. What do you really want? What do you want? What do you want? And so I said, so you say now that you want a really big house, but let's just imagine you're walking up to the front door. I said, you've got, the realtor handed you the keys or the builder handed you the keys. It's brand new. You click open the door, you step into this home and it echoes. Hello,
Hmm.
hello, hello. I said, how are you going to feel? And he's like, yeah. I said, no, I want you to imagine inviting your buddies over and playing video games, watching sports, having great big lounge chairs, like maybe big lazy boy chairs in front of a big, huge screen. Or maybe you want to be in your backyard and you want to have a barbecue and you got a big, long table for all your friends, or even maybe a small, intimate. But it's about relationships. It's about what do you want to do in that house?
Hmm.
That's what goes on your vision board, not the big house, but what is the feeling that you want to experience within the home?
I see.
So there's the difference where, and even people that believe in vision boards, they sometimes shy away from them because it feels very materialistic. They're like, it's just about stuff and people collecting more stuff. So the way that I see a vision board is it's a representation of your self-image. So
Hmm.
I loved the idea of you and Jimmy Fallon. By the way, I think he's moving to Canada, which is funny, but I think he's done with politics.
I guess
But
so.
yeah. So, but I love that because what I encourage my clients to do is put a photo of themselves in a happy time
Hmm.
in a prominent place on the board. And everything else anchors, all the other images anchor to you so that you can imagine yourself in that home, on that vacation, in that relationship. Because if you don't have any connection to what it is that you have on there, but for you, it also sounds, I love that you're like that go-getter, like, but we can also, I have this too. I'm a go-getter as well. But then I can try to force it or control it. And when you're forcing, you can't force
Yeah.
manifestation. It's actually going to work the opposite because it needs to be like energy, like you and I right now in this conversation, where it feels easy and it flows. And so, to answer your question, you want to spend time every day intentionally with your board. And I do it in a way that I focus in on the images that are on my board. I take them all in and imagine and remember when I created the board, the feeling that I wanted. And maybe you want to even make up a story, of you being there. So if
Hmm.
you've got Italy on your board, you imagine hearing the sounds, the smells, tasting the food, meeting the people. So spend 5 minutes every day, but then yes, have it in a place, put it on your phone as your screensaver, your laptop. The more often you can see it, like I printed off a copy 8 by 10. If you're going to Australia, if you do make your board, take a 8 by 10, put it in a picture frame and put it in your suitcase. So that way I take my vision board with me everywhere all the time. So you do want to have it with you that you can continue to focus on it. But spending time with it, meditating on it, is really smart. Yeah.
It is what I can see. I think like for some people, if they push it, especially talking about a business, I see many people they just set up a goal like no matter what, I'm gonna make $100,000 every month. Even right now, my salary is like $2,000. So they are like working like either for MLM companies or or they have their own businesses, and suddenly it easily happens. There are people like this. For me, or for the other people like us, there has to be certain process behind. You have to understand how it works, what works for you the best. Like because somebody tell you like, oh, you have to create vision board, put whatever you want. Doesn't matter whether it's ego or it's coming from your life. Just put it there and just go for it, no matter what. For some people, it happens. For some, we can be like little stuck. So that's why I'm asking this information. And thank you so much for those beautiful answers. So what I can see is literally about two things, which is like feelings and connection. And what I like is literally about you, how you feel to create. I saw your Instagram post, also on your website. You have stories of the people making their own vision boards, like taking pictures from the magazine where there is not their face, but there is the feeling. Like there's, for example, like wedding ring, or there's like Lamborghini or something like this. But it works. It worked for many people like 3 decades ago, or like the story about the guy who just made a vision board and after 25 years, like, hey, daddy, we live in this house already, the same house. So it's literally funny how it works, how this manifestation work. For me, for example, there has been some crazy manifestation. I didn't even put it to the how is it to the vision board. But in 2019, I was in Bali for the vacation for the first time. I came back to Slovakia, actually to Czech Republic because I was there at the time, and I hosted an event as an MC. So I was on the stage. There were speakers like traveling, and there was a guy who was like a digital nomad in 2018, which is 7 years ago almost. And I was like, oh, what is digital nomadism? Like, what is like traveling online? Whether trust me or not, I had a stable job, a really good one. Within a few months, I quit. I introduced the job offer like to my boss, like I'm gonna quit, but I will be still working online. How do you feel about it? So then suddenly I got like my two first clients. I sold out everything I could and I flew back to my hometown and then to Bali. And I was like working remotely, and it's been already 6 years right now. And it's like a major change, in the life. And I was like, wow, I can actually manifest. But sometimes when you're like, okay, I want to really have like at least $1 million every month. Like I see like crazy people having $1 million. They have whatever they want. But there is a plan from the God or from universe or whatever, whatever we call it, that I cannot just change. You know,
Right.
that's what I
No.
realized within the last 7 years. It's funny.
And you just get to be putting one foot in front of the other, taking advantage of opportunities. Ask. I love that you asked your boss. A lot of people don't have courage to do that. You know what they do is they wish and then they complain.
Hmm.
And but you took action because you don't receive unless you ask. And I mean the life and I love that you did that before COVID. Like so many people discovered it during a pandemic. Like we were kind of forced to pivot and they were forced to do it. And they're like, why didn't I do this years ago? This is amazing, you know? But you were way ahead of the curve in that you were already doing it back then.
That's funny. Like I have little goosebumps again. I don't know how. I feel like after some time, what I realized, I'm connected to some sort, which for me is Jesus or God, because I was born as a Christian. I don't go to the church because it's religion stuff, but I do believe in something more than just myself or like ego. And it's based upon like personal development, which you have also many experiences with the job that you had before, with this job. You've seen many stories of your clients as well, where you sit up together and you share your stories and you ask it like, what actually helped you? You said like, oh, I was going to the church every Sunday. I study Jack Canfield course, or I did some course about manifestation. And when we put this information together, we can literally grow within just like this, not within 2 or 3 decades, but maybe 1 year. And that's really beautiful about the personal development and this kind of stuff. What if, for example, if somebody create a vision board and everything what was written then happened? Those vision boards are usually made just for 1 year, or could be like, I want to create a vision board like for the rest of my life. Like this is gonna be my life. I'm gonna have 5 children. I'm gonna create the ecological company. I'm gonna believe in Thailand, whatsoever, you know? Or you have to change like every year, play with that.
So the manifestation and the joy, as the quote goes, is in the journey.
Hmm.
And so you're never arrived. Like we keep going until, which is why you could do a vision board at 80 years old. Like I've had an 80-year-old do a vision board because she's like, "Oh, I've lived my life." And I said, "Well, do you want to wake up tomorrow morning?" Yes. I said, "Well, you get to create a vision for what that life gets to look like." Right? So, I lost my train of thought. Can you remind me the question again? Sorry, I got excited about that.
Like the question was, if somebody have already the vision board and
Oh,
everything
yes.
happened.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And about the timing. So I would recommend doing a vision board every 12 to 18 months.
Mhm.
18 months the longest, but you want to do a new one because the vision continues to grow, evolve. So as you change, you may decide, I thought my vision was that I wanted to be a solopreneur, but now my vision is I want to work with a partner. Or maybe, I thought that I was going to, be a millionaire, but I actually want to spend more time with my family and I'm happy making multiple six figures. It's all about that idea of contentment. So the vision board, I've seen people manifest as quickly as 3 months,
Mhm.
6 months. But when you create your vision board, I recommend people do it about 5, 10 years out the most. So that it's not for 20 years or 25
Yeah.
years. So create because you lose the feeling otherwise. You
Mhm.
lose touch with it. So even with teenagers as well, I say to them, create your vision board as a teenager. Don't create it as an adult.
I
Like,
see.
don't put on there that you want to have a big house. Like, you don't even know what that feels like. So put on there, like, what does your optimal life as a young adult look like?
Hmm.
Thinking about having great friends, perhaps finding a partner, or maybe traveling the world solo, maybe having your own pet, having freedom of money, being debt free, like instead of trying to create a vision as being a middle-aged person, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it needs to feel really exciting. So 5 to 10 years out, but knowing that you're going to redo one within a year to 18 months because things will continue to manifest and the goalposts, so to speak, like a soccer, are going to
Hmm.
keep moving to what you're shooting for.
So basically, how do we know when, like, you told me that there is something like a vision board. I never knew about it before. This is the first time I hear like, oh, there's something like a vision board that could help me to manifest my desired life. I know I want to be rich. I know I want to have a beautiful wife, travel around the world, right? But like, I never heard about it. And my question is, like, what I understand, you really have to put your put your feelings right inside, so it's gonna happen. So, for example, you told them take out your bring as many magazines as possible because we're not gonna do it online in Canva, but we're gonna use it like from magazine and just pick up the scissors and some Canva we're gonna put it. And right now you have like pictures of like 10 pictures of houses, 10 pictures of destinations, some Lamborghini, whatever. And then you tell them like, how do you feel? You probably ask those questions like, what do you feel? What do you feel? Which picture is gonna look like to you? Because if you're gonna use it like ego, like, okay, I'm gonna take this wood, I'm gonna take this remote, but it's like, no, 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 no. That's not how I feel. I feel like it's gonna be this phone. I don't have to have like phone for $10,000. Just give me like newest iPhone and I'm gonna be happy, for example, right? So it literally has to be about the feeling. So now I understand it much more. And I'm so thankful you share this information, and I'm also happy that I also do believe it's gonna help people who are gonna watch this beautiful interview. And you know what I like? When I check your website, I like you. I think it's motto, right? Dream, discover, and declare. What does it mean? Like you also help people to with some limiting beliefs or mental health, like not focusing just for the vision boards. Like if somebody there is having like a struggling situation in their life, for example with finances, and then ask you like, hey Debbie, could you please help me with my financial and mental blocks? Can you help me? Can you guide me? Or you just literally focus for the vision boards?
So I also am a coach, and I do work one-to-one with clients as well. Not very many. My main signature program is my academy where I certify trainers, entrepreneurs, coaches to use my proven process in their business.
Hmm.
So they can plug and play it into theirs. And then I also do vision boards. As I said, I'm an expert in that. I go into other people's retreats. But yes, I do also have a membership program. So I have people that say, I don't think I'm ready to have the vision boards in my business yet. I don't know that I want to be a vision board facilitator, but I love your energy. I love what you're offering. Can and I want to be in a group. So I actually started in January and it's called Manifestation Mentorship.
Hmm.
And we meet for 1 hour every week as a group. And we talk about things that are in terms of business because I've been successful with my business. I've used manifestation, I've used vision boards. So I ran a business program actually last year, 2 rounds of it, very successful. A lady that I met through the Canfield group. She produced very, very popular TV shows. And so the two of us ran this business program, but that now has ended. And so I'm taking the structure, the framework of that program, and using that as my framework for my mastermind. So it's much more loose compared to like a structured workbook type of program. But we talk about, branding, finding your strength, getting your marketing message
Hmm.
clear. What tools do you need in order to be successful? Where are your clients? Like all those kinds of basic kinds of business things. And exactly that, what's holding them back? Because the biggest thing that's holding you back is not tools, it's not people, it's you. It's our mindset. It's the stuff we talked about earlier, the stuff that I had to uncover to say, oh, wow, as a little girl being adopted, I've had this sense that I need to prove myself to people, that I'm
Yeah.
worthy. And when you're coming from that kind of energy, it's not positive, it's not pure, you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to show up and give yourself permission to show up your best. So when you uncover those things, and I help my clients do that, then they become unstoppable and successful. So yeah, I do love doing that as well. That is also one of my offerings, but like I said, my signature has to do with the vision boards. But I mean, vision boards really fit into any of those because you have to start with a vision. It's like when you go on a
Yeah.
journey, you can hop in your car and start going. You're going to go somewhere, but are you going to where it is that you actually want? So you need to create that vision.
Talking about a vision, I really love the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He just put himself the vision of like, I'm gonna win the Mr. Olympia. And it happened. And he didn't have any vision board, but he had the word called vision. And he just believed that he was like go-getter and whatever he visioned, it happened. Trump had the same. And when I study more about these guys, without even realizing, they use some kind of NLP slash vision and it works. So when you see those stories and you want to have like something, like you want to have a better life than just working in a factory for like few decades until you die, let's say this way, like usually people do in my country, sorry to say, but that's true. They don't have any plans, they don't have any vision. And when I see them, I'm asking like, dude, like you want to work for the rest of your life for a factory, and what if the factory is going to be shut down because the situation is changing a lot? Why don't you at least take some of your money, invest somewhere, rather than spending money every Friday and getting drunk, you know? But when you try to talk to them nicely as a free like session, they never understand. They have just their own life. So my question is, how do you stay motivated with positive mindset like every single day when the world is changing like let's say every second these days?
Yeah, yeah. So you can't change someone if they don't want to change, obviously, but many of us, and I think people like myself included, it's like you get to the point where I no longer tolerate that. Like you will not tolerate that anymore in your life. The way that you're being treated, like you said, you wake up one day and realize there's got to be more to life than just the 9 to 5, waiting for the weekend, feeling tired all the time, feeling hungover. Like there's got to be more. And then when you get to that point, that's when you create space for what's next. Those are the people that I get to work with that they say, I no longer tolerate that, but I don't know where I'm stuck. I don't know
Yeah.
what else is possible. And so one thing I haven't talked about is, again, I'm going to talk about it in terms of the Christian faith, but
Mm-hmm.
that you can insert any religion in this, but it's about gratitude.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm just right now reading a book that is from Canadian Indigenous background as well as American. It's called The Serviceberry.
Mm-hmm.
And this talks about a gift economy versus the way that our economy is, which is consumer driven.
Oh yeah.
So if you think about a vision board, this might be this might be the answer for you. Your past vision board may have been from a consumer mindset. I just had this epiphany actually. Like this is like we go into a store, I want to buy that, I want that, I want that, I want that. That's consumer driven. When you have a gift mindset, which is from gratitude, that you recognize it's a cycle, like things cycle, things flow. So like the service berry is a tree, it's taking the nutrients from the ground, it's taking from the sun, it's taking from the rain, but then once it blooms, it gives berries, and the berries go back to the birds. They go back to people who can take them. And so when we see ourselves like the tree, where we can take, we ask and we can receive, but then it's our responsibility to give back.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a vision board that is from a state of gratitude, so I actually see it as a responsibility to my creator. So I was born, I was adopted, but that was like he rerouted me to go, oh, you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be here. And so my why is living a life of gratitude for this gift that I've been given. And the way that I do that is I multiply what I've been given. I've been given this opportunity to be healthy, to have a mind, to share what I know, my experience. And I get to do that by being intentional, by creating a vision board that I'm putting it out there to say, God, it's like a prayer. God, this is what I want. I believe that it's possible because I know the universal laws. I know that the law of vibration, I know the law of cause and effect. I know the law of reciprocity. Pros- I'm stumbling in my words, but and I'm open to receive. I'm still trying to get that word out.
Mhm.
Reciprocity. No.
Prepare something. Don't ask me,
You know what I mean, right? So, but then I'm open to receive. And that's where it often is sent bigger and better than I imagined.
Mhm.
So I just put that connection together with this book that I'm reading around that's what this is that when the way that I offer and teach the vision boards, which is why I'm hired often by Indigenous communities, because they say that my teaching aligns with what the Indigenous people, the culture is, even around the medicine wheel, that vision is a big part of it.
You know what is funny when you were talking about like you teach these vision boards in these communities, I was like, dude, haven't you made any vision board when you were like child, like at between 6 to 10 years, like the teacher asked you to make some vision boards of your families? Or remember, I think I remember something that we've been given some magazines, some scissors, and we wanted to create a story or something like this. And it was based upon like how do we want to have our life. So it would be funny if they really teach this kind of things for the children to understand how to prepare them for the real life, and also our adults, like me, for example. It's really funny how it comes. They try to teach you something, but they don't explain it like this is how it works. But for some people, it works immediately. You know what is funny? When we got to this world, we start talking either English or Slovak or Russian, whatsoever, and we're gonna tell like, Mama, I'm gonna be teacher. Daddy, I'm gonna have a big business, and they just keep following, and it's gonna happen. And I asked myself like, Mama, like what I wanted to be when I was child, and she was like, I don't know. You were talking about doing voiceovers, like working the TV or whatsoever. And since then, I was kind of lost, like the other people. You just become like teenager. Suddenly, oh, there is high school, there is university, and then I have to work, and people lost their by themselves. So talking about this is a really nice question, and people struggle to find the answers like how can we actually find our purpose. Do you think that we all have purpose in this life, or for some people it's just like, okay, I just came to this world, like, sorry to say, like, fuck that and do something, get drunk every Friday and then die, or you know
No, we all have a purpose. I believe that. Uh, Whether we decide to follow that
hmm
is a choice. So your vision will continue to change. Your goals definitely will change, but your purpose, there may be, there's different thoughts around this. I've been studying this, and sometimes people say purpose will change with age. Like you have a purpose as a
uh-huh
child, you have a purpose as, middle and then more mature. Um, But one of the ways that I help my clients discover their purpose is I ask a series of questions and we just keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper until the emotion shows up. And sometimes it's tears, but I say you can usually feel it here in your throat and then you've hit it. And so for me, it does tie back to my adoption. It does tie back to the trauma that I had as a child and that I want every person to discover joy,
hmm
to have a sense of purpose, to live an intentional life of gratitude, to discover hope. So that's the reason why I do what I'm doing with the vision boards, in that it's so important to me. And then it also goes back to glorifying God, that it's like a response to say it's our thank you, to show gratitude by creating this vision board. So, yeah, I do believe everyone has a purpose. whether they, decide to discover that and follow that, I think lots of people don't. Because the trauma, they haven't done the work, and so the purpose is so buried, and they become a victim.
Oh yeah. I see that these days, like many people got stuck because of the traumas and they just feel like what no matter what I try, it doesn't work. I was like, have you really tried everything? Like, tell me what did you try? Okay, so you see, maybe your ego is blocking whatever. There must be something. I am also like believer that if you have some traumas, like really deep one, like for example your personal story, which is one of the biggest traumas in the world, like when somebody try to abuse you or whatsoever, or being even adopted, there's been many stories when I had a conversation. Like I also used to have after that my ex-girlfriend, I also attracted girlfriends with the same story. There were I think like one or three girlfriends that I was dating after her, and they had the same story. Like I was like sexually abused. I was like, what the heck is going on? So I decided like I don't want to attract the same. Tell me what am I supposed to do? How I can stop it? I want to have like really beautiful woman. And I did this action and it shift. So what I'm trying to say, it's possible to change it. You just have to find somebody if you don't know how to do it by yourself who can help you. So I'm happy that these questions that you ask those people, I was thinking when you were talking about those questions, if those questions are similar to like seven whys, like you ask her to say, why do you want to have it?
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah,
get answers. Then why? And then you go
exactly.
to the last one, which is seven or 10 or fifth, I don't know. And then this is the proper answer. And I was like, oh, where is this coming from,
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. And you hit on a really important point that we haven't really talked about, but it's so key, is that who you surround yourself with. Like, I forget who says, but show me who you surround yourself with, and I'll show you your future.
Oh, I saw that some. Yeah, I remember the one.
And so it's so key. And after my interview with Jack Canfield, I had a few minutes just, to chit chat with him. And I thought, oh, don't leave. Like, when do you have an opportunity just to be one-on-one,
Yeah.
not the interview, just to talk? So I asked him, I said, can you please give me some advice around how can I become more successful? And he said, create or get into a mastermind. And he was right, of course. And that is so key. Like if you do any of the readings as well with Earl Nightingale, like they all talk about the power of the mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know like I created my academy because of a mastermind. I created my magazine because of a mastermind. Like my quantum leaps have all been because I had, in my case, they're all women, but colleagues who took a stand for me, who reflected back to me what I said my dreams were. But when the opportunity presented itself, I was ready to sabotage it. I was ready to say, "Oh, no, 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 that's not for me. That's too big. And they're like, "Hey, you told us you wanted to do this. Now this is showing up and you're saying no." And I was like, "Oh, you're right." And so I was so grateful that I was in a mastermind who stood with me and
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of my greatness and possibility and my vision. And so that I would say is so key, is to surround yourself. So if you are the person in the factory and everybody around you is complaining about the job, then find people like you're doing here, like outside of your job in the evening, like connect in, like so many people online. If your own, if where you live, in fact, maybe most people, that's the culture, that's the
Mm-hmm.
society of you. There are other communities like you called, did you say Mind Valley? Or
Yes.
yeah, like places like that, or the Canfield groups, or there's so many places where there are positive people who are like you and I, who are up to big things. And so that's what you need to fill your mind with, because that's going to continue to keep your vibration high.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever had it where you walk into a room and people have been arguing, but nobody says anything, but you can feel the energy?
Yes, many times.
Yeah. So, but the opposite is true as well, but we just don't notice it as much because it feels safe. So when people are happy, when they're positive, like we attract people to us. And so that's another, you asked me a question, how do you maintain your positive and being inspiring? You surround yourself, you read inspiring books, you watch inspiring things. Basically, whatever is going to take up space in your mind, be intentional about that. Be discreet about what you're reading, what you're watching, who you're listening to, who you're spending time with. And that may be that if as you're changing, and I had that as I was growing, I needed to let go of some of my acquaintances, which I consider like I called them friends, but they really weren't. And they were very negative. And they weren't they're nice people, but they chose not to follow their purpose. They chose not to better themselves. And so I needed to let those friendships go to make space for those that are positive and who are like-minded.
That's for sure. That's basically what I did. I think out of all of my friends that I grew up with in my hometown, that I had like around my surroundings when I was at the high school, the university, I think I'm the only one who said like, like I want to have a better life. I don't want to stay in my hometown. There was a big call like there is something bigger. So when I was at the university, I went to Ireland to work as a waiter, which I was studying like business university, but that was a big opportunity to study English anyways. Then there was a chance like to go to the USA, then do the internship, but then again USA, and then look for a job. And that opened my mind. I was like, you don't have to be scared when you go somewhere by yourself. You can easily, there are tools how to find friends. These days, you just open Android or iPhone, whatsoever, go to the Google app or Apple Store, download some applications like how to find a friends or events. And there are plenty of them, even in your hometown, or you just have to go somewhere by bus or whatever. And those people will help you to change your surrounding, and you can create a big mastermind and create something real big if you really want to. That doesn't mean like you have to have literally right now like $50,000 to start. You can have like an average income, some savings, and there is always a solution. You never know what's gonna help you. And then later on, you can look back after 5 or 10 years. I was like, yeah, that was actually really tough, but I made it happen. It's so funny how life literally directs you. Okay, you hit the wall, come back, go this line. It's so funny. At the
It
same
is
time, really
beautiful.
tough.
Hmm. Hmm. But being in that kind of open disposition like you are, like just being curious to go, oh, well, that didn't work, or here I feel like I'm being directed this way. And what I'm hearing you say is like you've taken so much action. Like you are like, you throw that pebble in the pond and the rings, that's what you keep doing. Like by taking that job in Ireland, by going to the United States, by following, you keep following what's next. So by being persistent, you will win.
Mhm.
It's a law. Like persistence, you will achieve your goal.
That's so funny. Like I'm a go-getter, like you said as well, and it's funny. Like I have those dreams, I have the goals, but sometimes I really feel also like struggling. Like I just want to give up. Like when I receive bad news, or I'm not so sure about the client if he's gonna, for example, continue the cooperation with me, and then I'm literally counting. Okay, monthly I have this much cost. If I lose this client, what am I supposed to do then? Suddenly, like some kind of mindset is coming, like even though in a 90% of my life is like positive mindset, even though I'm sleeping, and then those 10% could literally kick my ass. Suddenly, I won't like give up and whatsoever. Is it like normal when people have positive mindset? They have a goals and like those 10%, it's coming and it can ruin all of the rest, like the 90%. Have you ever had something like this within a couple of months,
Yeah.
days, years?
Well, I find that some people are actually more afraid of success than
Mhm.
failure. And so what I mean by that is we fail all the time. Like we as toddlers learning to walk, we fell down, fell down, fell down, fell. We know what it's like to fail, but the success rate, those happen less frequently. So it's like you work, 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 success. So success can actually make people afraid and they can be fearful like what if I have all this money or all of a sudden I have all this business? I hear people say, well, what if I have too many clients? Then I'm not going to be able to spend time with my family, or I'm going to, then I'll be too busy. And I said, well, you were able to handle poverty So why do you not think you're going to be able to handle abundance? That's where the trust comes in around all of that. So yeah, I do have that. And I also find that because people set a goal and then when they achieve it, the saboteur, the lie comes in like, oh, just take a break. Just relax. You've been working so hard. And they, and so, and then it's like your whole energy, the vibration dips. And then you got to work back to, so the best time to make a sale is right after you made a sale.
Mhm.
Don't sit on your laurels and say, oh, I made a sale. Yay, I'm going to celebrate, go get drunk, go, no, that's the best time to get back at it and create your next sale because you are in a high vibration. And many people miss that where like, and just apply that to anything in terms of being at a certain level. Don't get complacent because new level, new devil, right? So it's gonna attack you at a different level again. So yeah, that's where I see when people get a little bit of success, they actually get fearful that they're going to lose it, and that gets more because you got nothing to lose when you're starting out like you haven't gained anything, but as soon as they gain a little bit, they're worried like, well, what do people say? Like here I've been saying I'm successful and now all of a sudden what if I lose it and I'm not successful? They worry about that. They worry about, I've now made my lifestyle like this based on this income. What if I don't keep it coming in? So that's where I see people really sabotage themselves versus using all the tools that got them there in the first place to go to the next level.
This is really beautiful questions, so answers. So right now I gotta ask myself if I have this fear or no. I'm gonna keep thinking about it, which is really funny. Anyways, we're coming to the end of our beautiful interview. I hope you enjoyed with Visparka, and I'm so thankful you how is it in English? I'm really literally lost with English because I'm using three languages on a daily basis. Sometimes I cannot literally find one single word that I need. But I'm really happy that you joined this conversation with me. And usually, not usually, but all the times, I ask our guest last question, which is, what message would you give to the people all over the world? Any kind of message.
Hmm. I'll give you three words that summarizes everything we've been talking about today. Ask, believe, and receive. Ask for what you want. Believe based on the universal laws that it's possible. And then the last part, be open to receive, knowing that what will be coming is bigger and better than what you asked for.
Wow, this is really beautiful. Ask for what you want, believe, and then receive. I heard something like this somewhere, and it really works. I think that's the code for everything we've been talking in this beautiful beautiful interview. So, Debbie, thank you so much for your time. I'm not gonna we could be literally talking about hours, but I know you're busy. I can, like, for me, it doesn't matter. It's 10 p.m. I can stay here until 1 a.m., maybe order some KFC or whatsoever. But it's been really lovely discussion. And thank you so much for your time. And I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
This was our another episode. I hope you liked watching it. I hope you found the inspiration that we were looking for. So, this is not the last episode we're gonna make. There will be more episodes coming soon. So if you are still looking for a motivation, inspiration, you would like to spread the idea of motivation and inspiration to the other people, you want to support your family, and together we can create a big community, feel free to subscribe our channel, give us some comments, recommendations, feedbacks, and if you have any idea for somebody who is so special, just give it, send us the information about these people, and later on we can record the podcast for you. So until next time, see you soon and stay safe.